Good evening, everybody. I'm Jeff Isom, the Director of Sales and Training for Nikken North America, and welcome to our Empowered Living meeting this evening. We're going to help you to see how you can create a balanced, happy life through some simple principles that are shared by a company called Nikken. We have with us tonight, all the way from beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, Maggie McKee, who is a Nikken wellness consultant. She is a diamond in Nikken, which is one of our ranks. And she is an amazing educator. Maggie was a professor. Dr. McKee taught for many years at the university and devotes her time now to helping people connect with how they can create more in their life, whatever it is they might be looking for through the amazing products, business opportunity, philosophy, and community of Nikken. So I'm going to turn it over to Maggie to share with us tonight how it is that you might create more of what you're looking for in life. Maggie, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Jeff, for being our wonderful guide through this and for recording and so on. And I am so thrilled to be here. For those of you who are with us on Saturday, my Team Expansion Canada group were the panelists for the call that we had, and three of them are on this call this evening because I just think they're amazing, and I love how they share from the heart. And I know that you're when you hear Lynn and Maureen and Michelle talk, you'll know why I'm so excited about this group. Maureen has renamed us the Kenko Canucks, so which is pretty cute. So watch out for the Kenko Canucks, the Team Expansion Canada. And, most of us on this call have been living this empowered living life for a long time. And for those of you who are listening for the first time, I'm so glad you're here because I had no idea. I thought I was empowered. I had a great job. I had, you know, okay income. Teachers never get paid very much, but an okay income. I had a wonderful family. My two boys were in university, and I just thought I was on top of the world, except I didn't feel very good. I was in discomfort and had been for 30 years, so I was like dragging my body around every day and having to actually drag it out of bed at night. So when I was introduced to this, I didn't really understand the technology, but that's okay. I discovered it works. And I don't really know how my car works either, but it works and I'm happy for that. So actually, I don't have a car anymore, but this is just a glimpse tonight at what is available for you in Nikken's philosophy of empowered living. So let me, this is new for me doing these slides. I just have to figure out. There we go. Okay. So I'm a singer. This really appeals to me because when I'm singing with my band, I feel like this woman looks. I'm just so full of joy and enthusiasm, and time just isn't even in existence. It's wonderful. However, a lot of us don't have that feeling, and I certainly didn't have that, and I don't have that as much as when I'm singing with my band. But anyway, we know that this is a really, really difficult time to live in the life that we live in North America and all around the world. There's so much stress. And if you look at some of these top reasons, you'll recognize some of them, you'll connect with some of them. And I don't know if you knew this, we've done a lot of research, and the top reason for creating stress is the very first one on here. So we're going to talk about that tonight. Financial worries. We're also going to talk about health concerns, and we're going to show you how lack of time, how you can actually gain time, which sounds strange, but you can. How you can change your unhealthy lifestyle if you have any bad habits, all those things. There's circumstances that can be changed. So let's have a look at some of the risk factors that are putting a burden on our bodies these days. I mean, overall stress, as we know, is a major cause of illness. And when your body gets worn down from poor sleep or poor quality air, malnutrition, poor water quality, and electrosmog, which is a newer kind of stress, it leads to all kinds of diseases that the doctors give names to so they can prescribe medication for. And it's a vicious cycle. So let's see if there's another way, a better way. First of all, let's look at what's going on in terms of North America's approach compared to the approach to wellness from Japan. And the company we're with, Nikken, started in Japan 50 years ago. So that's why we're showing you this contrast. If you look on the left, the Canadian and US numbers in terms of how we rate in the world in terms of health, they're not good. 34 and 68. Japan is number one and has been ever since I joined Nikken 30 years ago. So they got something going there for sure. The longevity is different. Obviously, the lifespan is greater in Japan than it is in North America. But the interesting thing that I find is that we spend 3 times more than they spend on health care. Why is that? Well, they spend that money on prevention, not intervention. And so prevention really does make a big difference. And obesity is such a major problem nowadays in the world. And, we have a greater prevalence of obesity here than they do in Japan. So let's carry on to the next slide, if I can get it to move here. Hang on. Why is it not moving? Go back, back. There we go. Okay, so there is a solution that most people don't know about. I certainly didn't know about this, but when I saw this 5 pillars of wellness here, that was one of the first things that drew me in because I was developing programs for the college I was teaching at that were based on more than just information. It was based on helping the students have balance in all areas of their lives. I had different names here, but basically it all boils down to these 5 major areas. So I want you to look at this wheel, this balance wheel, and identify 2 that you would like to improve on. You would like to have a better approach, a stronger approach, because everybody's different. However, most people can say at least 2 that they would like to improve. So this would be the driving motivation for action, because if these are perfectly in balance, you probably aren't looking for any solutions. But if they're out of balance, even 1 or 2 of them, you're going to want to see what kind of action you can take. So we're here to offer you some solutions. I want a solution for my slide not moving. Ah, just have to hold your mouth the right way. Another way of looking at those 5 pillars is what would be the principles that would help us feel good every day. So enhancing our mindset, I think, is the most important thing in life because without a positive mindset, we're not going to have a flourishing life. We're gonna feel down and so on. And if we don't have vitality, if we don't feel well in our bodies, then that really inhibits our ability to have a good life. Strengthening your relationships, boy, that to me is key. That's really what I spend a lot of time on my family and my community and my business group, my Nikken Wellness family. So out of all of this, I believe that one of the biggest things that Nikken does is making a contribution to the community by serving others and bringing wellness to the world. And the area that most people are really dealing with is diversifying their income. So we're going to talk about that as well. These 5 principles together in balance do help us to feel good every day. So it's actually a pretty simple answer. How do we live and feel good every day? Well, we make decisions. We make a choice. We decide to be healthy by choice, not by chance, and we take responsibility to choose empowered living. Whenever I pause here, it's because I'm trying to get there we go. Okay, so the most empowering thing you can do for your physical vitality is to create a wellness home, a Nikken wellness home. I didn't know what that meant. However, I live in a Nikken wellness home now, and I am so excited because I grew up on a farm. I was out in nature all the time. I knew that I felt better out there. And I knew that when I went to university, I didn't feel as well. And I gained weight and I was more lethargic and so on. It was because I wasn't getting what nature intended me to have. So Nikken for 50 years has been developing technologies based on a concept called biomimicry, where they mimic nature in technology so that we can put that whole concept of wellness into practice. And what Nikken has done over the 50 years is create 5 areas based on 5 vital elements for feeling good every day. We have to breathe the best air. We need to drink the water that nature intended. We need to get restorative sleep. And we need to have the nutrition that really nourishes our body. And we need to be around nature's natural energies, not the unnatural things like the electrosmog. So each of these categories, Nikken has technologies in. And when you go to our website, it's really easy because you can shop for smart hydration, fresh air, restful sleep, smart nutrition, and nourished skin, less stress, and vital energy. So we make it really simple for people to create the wellness environment that they deserve. So there's lots of ways to become involved with Nikken. Most people start as a customer because they want to test out this what they've heard and seen. They really want to see if this works. And some people stay in that area, which is great because that contributes to the overall wellness of people. We can also decide that, hey, these things are pretty cool. I think I'd like to upgrade to consultant so I can share this with my friends. And some people like myself look at it and go, well, why not build a wellness business? Why not diversify my income to the point where I'm able to do things that I can't do with my limited income? So within 3 years of building my global business with Nikken, I was able to actually fire myself from my job. I walked into the president of the college and I said, I'm leaving. He thought I meant on vacation. I said, no, I'm actually leaving this job. And I think his mouth was still on the desk when I left the room. Anyway, the diversifying your income sources to me is how we can really empower people. I talk to people every day who are struggling to have the quality of life that they deserve. So I'm going to ask Michelle Kowalchuk, who's a Nikken wellness consultant from Meadow Portage, Manitoba, here in Canada, to share her story, her Nikken story about both the wellness products and the business. So, Michelle, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Maggie. Hello, everyone, and thank you for inviting me tonight. I found Nikken, or Nikken found me when I was hurting the most. My health was spiraling down really quickly. I was working at the bank at the time, and I had a great job. I was one of the top performers, won many awards, won a cruise. It was awesome. I had a great job, but my health was deteriorating really rapidly, and I was at a risk of losing my job. And I thought, okay, something's got to give. So I'm looking for help. I had exhausted what I thought was everything. And one of my customers came to me and offered me a solution called Nikken. And Nikken helped me to find my way out of that barrel, which was amazing. And of course, I was telling people, as they're asking me, what are you doing? And I'd tell them and I'd send them to the fellow who eventually sponsored me into this business. And he come back to me after about the dozen people that I sent to him. And he said, do you realize you can make an income doing this by doing what you're doing now? And I looked at him and I had told him before, no way, I'm not interested. Don't even talk to me about this. I'm fine. I don't need any more money. And he said, can I show you how? So I did. I took him up on the offer and we attended an event, and my husband walked out and said, we really have to look at this seriously. What he saw was the opportunity to diversify our income, to not be stuck, we found a way that we could live our life on our terms and spend the time with our family that we couldn't do because he was gone on his job, I was gone on my job, and sometimes we would meet in the middle, sometimes we wouldn't. And so I think I was really, really looking for this change. And I'm very grateful because Nikken has provided me the freedom to live my life the way I want to live and have the same kind of income. It's been awesome.
Thank you, Michelle. That's a powerful story because somebody like you who was saying no, no, no at the beginning, you're now one of the most active people in the Nikken wellness community, and you make such a huge difference. So I'm glad you changed your mind. See, that mindset really does make a difference.
Yeah, it sure does. Thank you, Maggie.
Okay, now we're going to hear from Maureen Kozak. Maureen, you really intrigued me today when I asked you to share, an experience, just any great experience you've had in Nikken. So I don't even know what you're going to say, but it sounds very intriguing. So Maureen, please go ahead.
Well, it's the time of the year, fall. We're starting to cool off finally in Ontario, and I was reminded of my first experience with the Nikken insoles. Um, back in the a long time ago, we only had the one car, and so I walked a lot, and I had really good shoes and a backpack and good runners and a real can-do attitude. So very healthy. But unfortunately, I live in Canada, and eventually the good weather changes to cooler weather and wetter weather, and you have to move into boots. And my boots were just not designed for that kind of cross training, long distance hiking. And what happened was that at the end of the day of a real, lot of walking, my feet really were uncomfortable. I mean, we were talking extreme discomfort and massage them until, basically they might start to feel a little bit better. So then we seek to a friend of mine who introduced me to the products and to the actual insoles. So I put them in my crummy boots that were not designed for this kind of training, and kept on going. And that was it. I did not have that discomfort anymore. And so I think the formula for my feet being happy is that the Nikken insoles, and they are the first thing that I put on after I've showered in the morning, and the last thing I take off before I go to bed and into more Nikken technology. So yeah, they keep my feet happy, and when my feet are happy, the rest of me is happy too.
And the family's happy,
Oh,
right?
definitely, definitely.
So Maureen, you talk about the insoles as kind of being the wow, this really is really great. And you went on to create a whole wellness home, I understand. So what made you decide to invest in more of the technologies if the insoles were doing what they were doing?
Um, well, you can't sort of wear them to bed or anything. And I was intrigued. Again, the same person loaned me a sleep system, and uh, it was sort of an interesting experience, as in she said, now remember to drink lots of water with this product, which I unfortunately didn't seek better direction and took 2 glasses of water before bed. Um, and it was an interesting night as a result. That and the cat coming up and jumping up onto me. So the next night, less water, threw the cat out, and had a great night's sleep. And I can tell you that sleep system has basically prevented a lot of things. Going to bed thinking you were fighting something off, and waking up right as rain. So
Hmm.
I just kept adding to the wellness home. As things came in and they intrigued me, I would invest in it and add to my home.
Great. Thank you so much. And now you're a business builder. You've got your sights on bigger things. So with Team Expansion Canada,
Yeah.
we are really making progress there. And let's hear from Lynn. Lynn is also from Ontario, and she's going to share I found that story so fascinating. You told me about your daughter and the sunburn, Lynn. Do you want to share that, please?
Absolutely. Thank you, Maggie, for inviting me. That was actually probably the very beginning of my journey with Nikken. My daughter was pre-teenage years, and she was out with friends at her friend's pool. And of course, do they listen to mom not putting proper sunscreen and being really in the sun extremely long time. And when you happen to be fair skinned, you are really in danger to really hurting yourself.
Hmm.
So we found ourselves when she came home, oh my gosh, if I can say red is not correct, but she was in agony. She was crying because this was not hurting you or not affecting you until you are out and in the evening at home. And I remember showing to my husband because we were concerned how severe was back of her shoulder area because she's fair skinned. And I was really fairly new with Nikken, but I did have the Nikken uh, blanket. And I remember somebody, I was at one of the events telling me that it's a great thing for situations that we found ourselves in. So being in the afternoon late at home, what I did when she showered, I just left her literally just in her bottom part of the bathing suit. And we just wrapped her in this blanket and kept the house pretty cool because she was very, very uncomfortable. And she was starting to feel better, and we did not go anywhere to get medical help, and we just sort of wrapped her up, and she was able to sleep. But to my amazement, in the morning when this child woke up, she was slightly pinkish, but that redness, and it was literally even beyond the redness was gone. I was totally stunned.
Wow.
And I can still visualize that child in that condition at that time. And it was one of the most dramatic experiences for me having a situation like that and a product that I wasn't really fully familiar with did such an amazing thing for us. And she ended up using the blanket probably another night where we kept it close to the skin, like so that her skin is exposed to the blanket. And I can say in about 3 days, you couldn't tell that she had this severe sunburn, and that was something amazing. So that was our first aid should someone not listen anymore down the road and get themselves in trouble like that. So that was a powerful, powerful products experience for me in my very early stages of being introduced to Nikken.
That is powerful. Thanks, Lynn. And what a relief to you as a mom, because that can be really dangerous.
Well,
And
we avoided going probably to get medical help
yeah,
because we weren't sure how serious that was.
right. Now we can't make medical claims, but we can make miracle claims, right, gang?
Yeah.
So let's have a look more in depth to the diversifying our income because I did not understand this. I was one of those people on the left. I'd gone to school, got a great education, always worked in the education field. So I had a job, but I had no leverage. And if I didn't show up, I had some sick days, but I had to produce in order to make income. And I felt like I was in that box there because there was definitely a ceiling on how much I could make and even how much I could do because of the restrictions of the politics. Some people get fed up with that and they take the bottom left quadrant there. They basically own their own job. They become self-employed, and it's the same story. You have no leverage unless you're working. You're not making money. You have to pay your employees, you have to pay your overhead, and so on. So time equals money on the left-hand side. And it's odd that 95% of the population are in that type of earning income and that they only bring in 5% of the wealth that's available. So I find that quite interesting. Now, if we look at the right-hand side of this quadrant and we look at, whoops, where'd it go? I can't see my screen now. Anyway, where is it? Oh, I'm sorry about this, guys. This is the first time I've done this in a while. So let me figure out how to get back to that screen. No, that's not doing it. I don't think Jeff can help me here either. Nice to see you all, though. That's really cool. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and then I'm going to start sharing again just to bring it back up. There it is. Okay. So on the right-hand side, where 95% of the wealth is created and only 5% of the people actually do that kind of model, because they have the leverage and their income is not based on their time. They leverage the time of others. They create systems that allow franchises, or as in our case, a type of franchise, network marketing, to create residual income. That is where we educate people how to come from the left to the right, because there's a different mindset, there's different ways to diversify your income, and Nikken is the ideal way, I find, to bring people to the awareness that it doesn't have to be about trading your time for money. You can actually leverage and become wealthy. And the thing I love about this, I love to travel, and I can do this business from anywhere. I can feel good every day because I take my products with me, and I can leverage this business just from my cell phone. So it's pretty amazing that way. So how does this work? I mean, it has to be simple because people are busy. If it's not simple, people aren't going to do it. So here's how simple it is. You join Nikken, and if you're a customer, that's all you do. You just join Nikken and love the products. If you decide to upgrade to a consultant, the next thing you're going to do is talk to people. You're going to listen to people more than talking to them. You're going to share and promote and demonstrate these amazing products and the business opportunity and the cause, feeling good every day and having balance in those 5 principles. You're going to invite people to whatever is best for them, because it's all about them. What suits them? Are they interested in product or business or both? And then the really cool thing is Nikken does all the heavy lifting. They ship the product, they do all the research and development, warehousing operations. They run the kinds of programs that Jeff is helping us with tonight, and it really is a turnkey business. And then the cool thing, like you heard on Saturday, is like from Paula, all of a sudden she's getting checks in the mail because Nikken rewards and pays us for doing this. And it can be a little bit or a lot. That's up to you to decide, and for us to help you to do that. This is so different from the competitive corporate Canada, corporate America model that we're used to. This is really the perfect gig because we get to work in teams, we get to support each other, we get to collaborate. There's no competition here. And there's such a low cost of entry that anybody can invest in a business like this. And then with our help, have all the leadership development that they need to get to the level of income that they want. It's really easy to integrate into your life. I had very little time. I used to make phone calls reaching out to people between classes. So over the entire day, I probably did an hour or two of focusing on this business, and just doing those little bits consistently over time, I built an amazing income with Nikken. And the fact that everything that we need is there. And now with the internet, we have a whole business training program online called the Wellness Academy. And there's all kinds of ways that you can learn. And then Nikken just rewards us for so much. They're great trips. I've been to Japan with them. I've been to Mexico. Lots of trips, lots of opportunities for, having fun and helping other people. Now, this is where we are now. I find this an amazing graphic. Nikken started in Japan in 1975, and it came into North America 35 years ago in 1989, 1992 into Canada. And in those 35 years, from the time it came to North America to now, we've done okay. We've actually produced a fair amount, $4 billion. However, if you look at the market penetration of that, it's kind of small. 1.25% of the population has been introduced to Nikken. And most of those people are the baby boomers, because we were at that age 35 years ago where we were looking for the kinds of things that Nikken offers. And there were a few Gen X's, but I don't know. There weren't any millennials then. So now we are at this crossroads here, 2024, 2025. We've reached 2 million people, and all of that pretty much with the boomers who are now getting older, 60 to 78, 79 years old. The Gen X people, the ones who are 45 to 59 approximately, 5960, they are the ones who are really going to be the heart of Nikken moving forward. And watch out for those smart millennials. My goodness, they're on top of this because they're looking for natural ways to feel good every day. They're looking for gig economy income. And so we are really in the right place at the right time. And this curve is really very, very easily projected from 2024 into, the next 20 years or so to reach 160 million rather than 2 million. That's a big growth. And I want to be part of that, not just for my own income, but part of that by introducing this to Gen X's and millennials and other baby boomers, because I believe everybody deserves to live in a wellness home. And I really trust this company with its track record of 50 years. So we have some really exciting times ahead of us. We've certainly had wonderful 35 years so far. So how many billions? We don't know. Whoops. Now it's going too fast. So I say, why not? Why not come into the global wellness community with us? You can come in as a customer, you can upgrade to consultant, and if you want, you can learn how to be an entrepreneur, wellness entrepreneur, and reach more people with our support. So we have lots of ways to support you. We have a rhythm of the business. Tonight is the overview, short overview. Tomorrow night we focus in on particular product or product line, and people share their experiences like you heard tonight, and you learn more about the products, and you can go on and learn about the business too. So let's look back at this. This is what our vision for the world is, that everybody has the opportunity to feel good every day and to have these 5 principles of wellness incorporated into their life with our help. So that's what we're here for, and I want to thank you so much for being part of this presentation tonight. And I always say, go forth and multiply. Bring more people, spread the word, find out who you can help, and feel good every day.
Thank you so much, Maggie, for sharing that with us. And thank you to our individuals who shared their testimonies tonight. We appreciate you sharing your stories about Nikken. Do reach out to the person who invited you to be on the call tonight. And if you are watching this by YouTube, you can make sure and have all of your questions answered by talking to the people who shared the link with you. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us tonight. Thanks again, Maggie, Dr. McKee, for sharing the presentation about this idea of empowered living. Have a great week, everyone.